What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Areas in the Nation, and we have a very special guest today. Guys, welcome Black Pegasus. What's going on, man?
What up, y'all? How y'all doing? And thank you for having me, man.
Man,
Yee.
thank you. Thank you for carving out the time in your busy, more so now, busier schedule because of the birth of your daughter. Congratulations.
Thank,
Congratulations, man.
thank you. Yeah, you know what's ironic is how life works. So we have the newborn. She's super healthy, but as a dad, those first 3 months they're just like acclimating. They're just a little
Yeah.
chaotic. Well, about a week after we get her home, I'm in an office space, right?
Mhm.
I don't ever get in trouble, but I own two recording studios, and in one of the recording studios they had an infraction and we're getting kicked out of the building. So
Oh
like
my.
I'm actually like after this interview, I'm looking at spaces, like figuring out there's like a certain date we have to be out by, and I was just like, bruh.
Oh
But
man.
that's just life, how it goes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yep, you
anyway,
can't you
yeah.
can't have everything going smoothly because why should it ever run
Uh,
smoothly?
right. Yeah. So
It's all part of the story, man. Well,
yep.
well, man, I'll tell you one thing. How I found you, man, was your electric callboy reaction.
All right.
Your electric callboy reaction.
Those dudes are
That's
wild.
that's how I found you. And I
Okay.
was like, "Oh man." And then from then on, man, I loved everything you put out, man. And I love the fact that you bring other people onto your show. I'm getting wrapped up. Putting onto your show, like seeing different points of views of certain songs. And I love that. And it inspired me to get my buddy on my channel to be like, hey, look, let's check this song out together.
Nice. Heck yeah.
You know? And so my question is, well, first and foremost, you're out in Colorado,
Yep.
right? And
Colorado
I'm
Springs, to be specific.
Listen, I've only been one of the most beautiful states, in my opinion. One of the possibly the most beautiful state in the U.S. The only time I've been to Colorado was in Manitou Springs.
Okay. Yeah, the west side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
That's old town Colorado Springs is what they
Yeah,
call it. Yeah.
yeah, 100%, man. But you're up there, dude. Nothing like Denver. I've never been to Denver,
Yeah.
but it's. I remember everyone's like, "You're gonna get winded going up the steps." I'm like, "Well, I'm a big boy, so I'll probably get winded regardless,
Yeah,
going up no steps." But there's a lack of oxygen up there for damn sure.
this is true.
Um, so here's a question for you, man. And I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be spitting questions at you because that's just not how I do it, and I'm too scatterbrained as it is to hold a steady conversation for a long time. You know,
Yeah, it's all good.
so I have a 5-year-old son, so I'm used to like he helps me with my scatterbrainness because he works
Yeah.
on tangents too. So
Nice.
it's perfect. I can
My
hold
da
a
my first daughter's actually 5 years old too, so we got something going there. There
hey,
you
there you go, man.
go.
Dude, that
The way they start
imagination.
processing and their imagination goes off the rails, I love it.
Oh man,
I try to push it. I try to just be like, "Yeah, yeah, that's okay. Just okay, I
yeah,
like that," you know?
yeah. It's funny. My wife is more of the be careful, you'll hurt yourself, and I'm more like you gotta hurt yourself so you don't do it again. Like
Yeah.
like go
Uh,
out there, fall, get the scrapes and bruises early, then you
yeah.
figure that out. But
Heck yeah.
it's funny. There's one thing from one dad to another dad. Do goldfish ever go bad? I'm still finding goldfish from who knows how long
Uh,
ago, and I'm just like, they don't ever disappear. They don't
y
ever just
uh,
you find them years later. Like,
if the
ew, what the hell?
if there's no mold on it, those preservatives are working.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Oh man. But so what I feel like this is just a very big question.
okay.
What drove you to YouTube? What was like, hey man, this is the path I want to take currently. Like,
You know what's super funny about this is that, I have been attacking YouTube, not like legitimate, but like trying to blow up on YouTube, since like I think I put up my first video. Now I wasn't like necessarily you want to blow up with everything you do as a rapper. So as a
yeah,
rap artist, I think my first upload was in 2006. It's
wow.
a song called Keep On Moving. Got some old school conscious hip hop vibe to it, you know? And I have been trying to crack the matrix of YouTube with my music for, I mean, damn near if that was in '06, so getting close to 20 years.
Yeah.
And you know, like if you really go down the rabbit hole of my stuff, I have like this a couple of music videos that are just like, you know, in a sense, trying not to be like, oh, arrogant, but they're ahead of their time. They're like really good quality, let's say. But
Mhm.
I have like a handful of videos because we always focused on the production, you know, and stuff like that. And certain things maybe it was the consistency, maybe it was the audience, but it never caught on. And I just kept cracking at it and just putting out the best content as possible as a rapper, music videos, and it never caught on. And in I'd say about 2018, me and my buddy Don were like, yo, we want to start a podcast. And we just BS'd and BS'd. And then 2020 hits. And we're like, there's nothing, you know, like I throw
Yeah,
concerts for a living. So they tried to decimate me and my living from the ground up. So we decided to just, you know, we bought some equipment. Don figured out watching YouTube tutorials how to set it up,
yeah,
and I started driving to Denver every Tuesday, and we would record segments. And back then we were just doing podcasts, more like culture war stuff. So we were like a wannabe, like, you know, it just depends because we're kind of in the middle, but it's like a wannabe Tim Pool, or like we're kind of
okay,
regurgitating culture war stuff that
okay,
we see and then putting our spin on it and having quirky like guy humor to it, you know.
yeah,
And to be honest, my buddy, he does roofing, and there was this big hailstorm. He followed some of these storms, and I was just solo. And one day, I was just like, man, I want to take it back. There's this song I really love. I think it was like the Beat Nuts, and it's a little more one of their obscure songs. And I
mhm,
remember reacting to it, and people being like, you know, yo, that was a tight song. And at this point, we did like a Harry Mack reaction. I noticed, I was like, that got
yeah,
like, why so many people watch that? And then, you know, even like back then, we even did like an Andrew Tate reaction. And I didn't realize, like, oh, fast forward, I was like, these things are triggering the algorithm, and this is what people want to see us talk about.
yeah,
And then slowly but surely, the wheels started to churn, and it was easy to just play music and be like, "Yo, this is tight," or "This isn't tight." And that's kind of what I started doing in the absence of my buddy having to go work. And I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, this is a reaction channel. This is what reactions are." Because I didn't really understand the
yeah,
space like that. Because I'm into like Joe Rogan and streamers. Like I'm into like I like I think it's funny watching like Aiden Ross or Sneeko or Destiny or Abba and Preach. Like that's
mhm,
the type of content that I was watching. I wasn't really watching the No Life Shacks, the Knox Hills,
yeah,
or the Stevie Knights until I got into the space. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. These are like, you know, almost like in the rap industry, they call them tastemakers. It's like, oh, they kind of curate, you know, and create these I wouldn't say narratives, but like, you know, a lot of times what they say is hot becomes hot, or people start to gravitate to, you know, those insights, and they call them tastemakers. And I was just like, oh, this is interesting. And this is a new space that I wasn't really into, because again, I was super into like Joe Rogan podcast and podcasting like that. And then into like streamers, not that weirdo, like neon type of stuff where they're just you know,
yeah.
like doing pranks and like, you know, have to have security because they're starting fake fights, but like, you know, other stuff like Abba and
Like
Preach,
like
stuff
a
like that.
discourse heavy
Yes.
podcast. Like,
Yeah.
when you have substance behind the talking, and that not based on, like, let's say, actions or interactions, or like you said, like pranks,
Exactly.
actual discourse. Yeah. And
Y-
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Like, me and my buddy, we started our other channel, Embrace the Suck 21. We we started that as a more of a fitness channel. We were
Mhm.
about to plan up to gear up to do a Tough Mudder, right?
Oh,
That
that's
ended
great.
up never getting done. And it's, to date, Embrace the Suck 21 has been the most successful failure I've ever experienced, ever.
Yeah.
Because we were doing it, we had a similar podcast, just kind of keeping people up to date on our workout plans and stuff. Obviously, that shit just fell through the floor. But my wife was like, "Why don't you see how they make Taco Bell like churros?" And I was like, "That's okay, whatever." From That was our first reaction video,
Uh-huh.
and then from there we hit Oasis,
Okay.
and then from there it just took off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I never understood reactions. Like, I used YouTube for hacks. For
Yes.
how do I do this easier?
Yeah.
What's making the noise on my truck? What's, that stuff, diagnosing life problems.
Yeah.
Now my YouTube is all over the place.
Yeah.
What is your for you, like your home screen look like? Is it just all different stuff?
You know, so it's interesting because, like, I think just because I'm getting older, I never thought I'd be that guy, but I'm into politics a little more than I should, right? So I'll just randomly be like, stuff will pop up, and I'll go from, like I'll watch Tim Pool and Fox News, and then I'll watch Young Turks. Like I like to hear both sides as
Yeah.
much as I can. And of course, we're all a little biased to the side. We're like, oh, I think this is the way, or I'm a little more traditional, or whatever the case may be. But I do really try to listen to and I have fun because like Destiny is like a good streamer. He's super left leaning, but I can listen to him and be like, okay, this is what he's saying, and then I can go listen to someone like Sneeko, who's like super right leaning and a little extreme in certain areas, and just enjoy it. But
Hmm.
so a lot of the things that get it just depends. The other thing is entrepreneurial stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm always playing that in the background because I just feel like your mind is programming. So like, from entrepreneurial to health, a little bit of politics, and then I always make it a thing to try to watch Kill Tony. Do you ever watch that? Are you familiar?
Not familiar. Not familiar. Not
It's so
familiar.
it's this stand-up comedy show podcast. Okay, they do it every Monday. It's one of Joe Rogan's good friends, Tony Hinchcliffe. He's one of the greatest roasters of all time.
Okay.
He's on the panel with Red Band. They always have two guests, and they pull from a bucket and they pull random comedians up to do a minute set. And it's just one of those things
Okay.
is even if the comedian bombs, after they bomb, they do an interview, and Tony is so good at roasting, like it's just comedy the whole time. And so, like for my health, right, I try to just make sure I'm laughing a couple times a week. So that's one of the things that I personally like to watch is
That's your go-to.
Kill Tony and stuff like that. So
Man, that's dude, you got to at least on well, first, let me before I just go crazy on this, but like because I could go over so many different ways, but it's important to make sure you laugh.
yeah,
And that's the key to all of this. Not
yeah,
it's the key to like you fight your burnouts, right? You fight
hmm
your burnouts because you got to be how I felt like is almost when you do a reaction, you pour so much of you into what you're absorbing, right? You pour a little chunk of you goes into what you're listening to, and your time in. You combine that with reaction after reaction after reaction. You got to find a place and a way to refill yourself
yeah.
100%. And for me, that's comedy. That's laughing. That's unplugging and just doing something completely different than what's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But my thing, what I was gonna get to is you practice and you are a you practice BJJ, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah,
a
yeah.
martial artist,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Do you do the what I'm trying to get at is how do you fight the burnout? I mean, fight pun intended, I guess. But
Mhm.
like, do you use that like a healthy schedule? How has your schedule changed, including YouTube now, and doing stuff on this platform, and how kind of strenuous this schedule and chaotic this schedule is?
So, this is really cool. YouTube has been a blessing for me, and the way things have went, like, to be honest, a couple of things have lined up where, like, I'm like YouTube is almost my priority as an income stream now. And this has
Hmm.
all happened within a year. So I'm not really used to this. So I'm like, nah, man, so long story short, my wife has got to quit her job. She was doing daycare, and she's got
Okay.
to quit her job, and now she gets to focus because this has kind of implemented, in that area. I still throw concerts, but that industry got hit kind of hard because of
Yeah.
2020. We came out hot and heavy, but the economy and then the corporate, because we're just independent promoters, so battling against Live Nation, AEG Live, it's a tough feed. So it's been really interesting, but YouTube has been super blessing. But because of that, there's this pressure to perform right? Like have the hot reactions, be on time with certain things, and it becomes a job. And there is stress there. And, a lot of people online, their heart is with you. They're like, oh, just go take some time off. BP, you deserve it. You work so hard. But the thing they don't realize is this turned into a job,
Yeah,
right? It's now my wife isn't working, so I have to kind of show up, and there's no, hey, I can that it's just like their day-to-day
yep,
job. I just sit in front of the camera. I burn out just like anyone else, and
yep.
I'm very competitive. So like I have to balance that. And this is what's interesting. You bring in jujitsu and certain things in life. Jujitsu is a really hard sport, and I got
Mm,
injured in jujitsu, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and I had to assess the way I approach it because it's a combat sport. Every day you're
mhm.
fighting other people on those mats. It's not like, you're hitting mitts and stuff. You're literally grappling and wrestling with other people. So I've had to approach that differently. And to be honest with you, I've had to I'm 44. So like I'm typically sparring with people who are in their 20s and 30s. And so
Damn.
there's a lot of differential there,
Yeah,
because I'm not on TRT. I'm like supernatural, right? As of now, right?
yeah.
So it's interesting. So sometimes I had burnouts with jujitsu, and what I realized is like for me, I have to space certain things out and just work on the schedule. Like for example, jujitsu, I was going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That was too
Mhm.
much. So now it's just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm trying to help coach the kids class, and my daughter's doing the kids class. So
Awesome.
like there's a lot to balance there. And then with the newborn, I think the newborn has added some complications to my life that I know will ease up in 3 or 4 months. So like right now, it's that delayed gratification. I'm not even like I'm burning out, but I'm just like, in boxing, they say just bite down on your mouthpiece and move forward.
Yep.
That's where I'm at because I know the light will come. We'll
Yes.
get to go on vacation. This money will be made. We won't have to worry about certain things. I'll move into this new office. So I know right now is just the time to grin
Just
and bear it, as they
yeah,
say it. But there's definitely burnout. It's real. And for me, the best way to dodge burnout is when you feel it coming, because we're able to a lot of times create our own schedule, just take some time off, maybe eat some food you like, hang out in the sun, chill with my child or children now. It just depends on where you're at. Sometimes you need to get away from all that if your family can let you do that. Me and Dawn are actually going because we're doing a baby shower this weekend. Well, my wife is, and it's kind of like the girly thing where all the girls are going to
mhm.
be at. So on Saturday, me and Dawn are going to this. It's called Lake Island, or hold on, it's called Island Lake, and it's a lake in Colorado that literally looks like kind of like a Hawaiian, like the
Huh.
lake is baby
That's
blue and stuff like
hell
that.
yeah.
So it's like just
Hell
trying
yeah.
to disconnect when you can.
It's important, man. Especially, with I view YouTube as a blessing and a curse in the same breath.
Right.
It's like this has allowed me to provide. This has allowed me to stay at home and be present and be able. The mobility is amazing. The set your own schedule, but the pressure on top of it because you got that algorithm beast always on your back. Like,
Mhm.
hey, did you upload today at 12? I'm gonna punch you in the kidneys.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like that kind of stuff. But it's important to be able to step away and also having that balance, like you said, like prepare for it. Like, at least I kind of went in this, just jumped out of the plane, hit every branch on the way down. That's kind of my approach to life, which
mhm.
is yeah, which is not a good approach. For anyone listening, do not do that. Do
Yeah.
not do what I
I
do
dove into
at
the
all.
deep end.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. We live
Yeah,
forever, kind of thing. But no, man, it's important to find the balance. It's important not to burn yourself out. At least you, with your training and your mental state, when a burnout's coming, and
yeah,
you can kind of plan for it, plan for a step away.
yeah,
Whereas when it hits you, you're almost frozen. You're just
yeah,
like, I'm so done,
y
and it's a hard thing to say because you're not only are you a brand new dad again,
yeah,
right? Reactions, staying on top, trying to be the flavor of the week every week,
yeah,
right? And then on top of that, you have your competitive mixed martial artist, and you have your music career, and the other things encompassing all that. So it's like category cat what is it? Compartmentalizing it
Yeah.
correctly. Cause it I feel like once one thing is out of order, it just snowballs.
Yeah,
Just
you know what's interesting is being a creative and an artist, you live in this fantasy land as well. So it's like trying to balance, like, not killing that energy that creates, that's very creative and imaginative, but also being realistic.
yeah.
Because one of the things with like jujitsu and stuff like that, I train so hard. I was like, "Yo, am I going in a UFC fight? Am I competing? Like, what am I doing?" Like, because that's how hard I was training, and I realized the burnout was coming from that and there being no end point. Like, typically, people have a training camp to fight, to compete, and I don't ever have an end point because 'cause I'm just trying to get better, and so I had to just ease off the gas and say, "Let this thing flow,"
Mhm.
and also prioritize certain things. Like, I love jujitsu, but again, this isn't providing for my family. There's certain, barriers to entry here. So, also balancing that with YouTube, which is providing for my family and, just uh, trying to do the right thing. And then also like the calibration for your age, things do change at your age. And I don't want to admit that. Like my mind is rolling around like a 25-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so like calibrating, be like, bro, just take a day off, let your body recover, and then go back in with a fresh mind. Also having the humility to tap early and to be okay with, losing around here and there as long as you're learning. There's just a lot of things that with age, that maturity is helpful, but it's like also, it's like, damn, like you
Yeah.
still the male. It just depends. Not all male, but like a lot of times we're driven in certain ways, and I just know I've been like super competitive with everything, including the YouTube space. Like it's like I've had exponential growth, but I also like have to be like calm down, fool, like chill, like because I have like I like have a ton of content just in the backlog. So when I go on vacations, like content's just being released, like there's never like really an off day. And there's sometimes where you gotta be like, hey, bro, you got enough in the vault, chill out,
Yeah.
because so there'll be times where I have like people don't even realize like I'll have 100 videos just chilling, like just like reaction videos, just chilling. And it's just, I'm trying to make the most for my time. So sometimes I'm running appeals, disputes, waiting to see which ones open up. Those get priority. So like there's just a lot of tediousness to make money as a reactor on YouTube. And since I prioritize that, it's like also just take the foot off the gas for a little bit, take a breather. You know what I mean? It ain't
Yeah.
it ain't the end of the world. Da 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 da. So
You and now have has your your music, your original music, seen a bump in growth because of the growth on YouTube? Is there a good crossover, I would say?
so there's been pros and cons because there has been an uptick of more people listening or checking for it. Because at the beginning of my reactions, I'm just like, hey, I record. If you want to check out some of my stuff, do that. And people have been checking it out. But the part I record so much YouTube, I just I haven't like I want to create, but it's interesting how sometimes business and certain things can deplete your artistic state. Like there's a
Oh
part of
yeah.
me that wants to be artistic and just sit down and write a movie script, or like even like I like writing like little comedy sketches and just going and then doing like a comedy sketch, or like writing music. And it's just like, the time you get home, you're dealing with your kid, you get some nutrition, you're like, bro, I gotta run these appeals. Oh, I gotta make these thumbnails, or
Yeah.
oh, I gotta send this over to the dude to make the thumbnails or edit. And you're just like, I don't feel like writing. The other week I forced myself to listen to beats. I was like, oh, this is kind of tight. But it's just like for me, whenever I created, there's like moments and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in that moment. Everything goes away. Like I dial in,
Yeah.
but those moments have been getting further and further as dad life, as da da da. So
Yeah.
I just look at this. This might be the new chapter in my career. I might from time to time make music for the love. It might be very rare. I might make more of it. I don't know. But like this whole YouTube shit is brand new for me. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
all of it's like super new, and making money off of it is I'm about a year of making like solid income where I'm like, oh, this is a viable thing. Okay, cool. We've been a year. This is real, you know? So
Yep.
all of it is just knocking at my door right now. And I'm just, you know, kind of like, okay, new chapter of the life. And because I grew up, like I had a day job and I quit
Mhm.
my day job to go on this first tour. And then I never got off tour. And I just kind of, you know, so I'm not one of the people who's scared to dive into something because I did that at like, I think I was 24, so 2004, I quit my day job. Yeah. So, and I just never looked back. So, like, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, should I do it? Should I? I just do
Yeah.
stuff, you know?
You just gotta
And
go. Just gotta
yeah,
go with the flow, that or else it'll absolutely eat you up inside. You
yes,
know, my thing is my mantra is don't live with any what ifs. You know, just hey, go for it because this is the one chance you can. Because
yes.
who knows if that opportunity is gonna present itself again later down the road.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting too, because speaking, I don't have that much age, but like when you look back, it's like, when is the time to do it? It's like when you're young and like, because like now it's like taking risks involves my whole family,
Yeah,
you
man.
know? And so
Oh,
it's different.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
I tell, you know, young men specifically, it's like, bro, like do that stuff. Like do some of the stuff, the risk taking, not, I ain't
yep.
saying go drag race, but take
No.
some risks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this is the time to do it.
Yeah, no, for real, man. Like I jumped in. I got all into YouTube. I was all in. I quit my construction job, um, and went YouTube. And I was
Okay,
like,
nice.
this is we're doing this. You know, I told
Yeah.
my wife, it's like, don't ask me what I do because I don't understand it. You don't understand it. No one in my family understands this. I get it because I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
don't ask me what I do. Just know that I'm doing it, and you can watch the time I spend on YouTube because
Yeah.
that's where it is.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's an all in. I applaud anyone that jumps into this full time because it is not easy. It is not easy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's an evolving thing. It's
Yeah.
ever changing.
Sure.
You know, you're and my thing is like you don't know if how do I say it. One of the things I tell people that like, hey, do you want to do YouTube? You know, make sure your content is sustainable and your schedule's sustainable too. Because my view of YouTube is it promotes people that are consistent and like not monotonous as in a boring way, but like consistent content, the same type of content. So
Yes.
stay at it. Don't just go a food review, music review, movie review. Like don't do that. Pick a lane and sustain it.
It's
Yeah.
funny that you say that. So first thing, as tedious as this is, right? It is a blessing because I, you know, like I used to do construction, but at the gopher level, right?
Yeah.
So
Looking for the
like,
board stretcher.
like just
Like
like over here hauling plywood all day. Get that
yeah.
plywood, Rob. So like, I definitely rather be sitting in front of this camera than hauling plywood, in the freezing cold or the dramatic sun. But at the same time there is like it's very tedious because of the things you have to do to try to make sure you're getting income off of that. And then it was what was the last point you were making, because I was going to piggyback off that. You were just
The
saying,
monotony, because it wasn't I'd say consistency and monotony is what YouTube
oh,
reward. Pick a
YouTube.
lane. Yeah.
Yes, the lane. I'm struggling right now
No, you're
because
good, man.
as much as I love the music reactions, I'm just a creative. I'm like all over the place. But I'm realizing, oh, this is a music reaction channel. I have to stick. I can't do like I want to do like fight reactions for street beefs, or like,
Yeah.
oh, today I went to Japan and tried Wagyu beef for the first time. Like I just
Yeah.
want to go crazy. And I'm like, oh, this algorithm is not allowing this.
Not
And it's kind of
that's
depressing because I'm like,
doesn't
this is
allow
fun.
it.
This and so like now I had this idea. We have multiple ideas, but I'm like, dude, do we have to start 4 channels? Because for example, I have this idea of food fights where it's like, you know, integrating maybe like us doing food reviews and then watching fights, like legit MMA fights and eating new food and just like collaboration.
That's
I,
that's a crazy collab, dude.
yeah,
That's two niches together.
yeah, and so I was like, "Okay, this is good." Every time I've mentioned this to people, they're like, "Yo, there's something there." And I think you could even go as far as like getting, if you got big enough, getting 2 chefs and getting fighters to represent the
Oh,
chefs, you know, fight and then eat a meal together. You know, like just
bro.
wild, something
Yes.
just different, right?
Yeah.
So is this idea that's looming. But then me and my boy Don have been working on a game show. And I'm just gonna spill the beans here because I'm like, is gonna so he has these little kid quads. They're not fast enough. So we need to get just a little faster, but ain't too dangerous. And we're thinking about doing a live Mario Kart where it's like you're dressed
Yes.
in cosplay and you're doing real Mario Kart, but you have to stop, answer questions. There's, all these different things and have a game show. And
Yep.
I was just like, bro, this is the type of stuff that I love to do. But then me and him want a travel vlog as well. Like we're booking our trip to Thailand. So it's just like,
Yeah,
bro,
bro.
how many channels do I
Hey,
need?
listen,
You
listen,
know?
man. I got 11 channels right now.
Oh, snap. Okay.
It's all over the place, all over the
Got you.
place. Because I was noticing that I started this specific channel that we're on now as kind of like a live streaming channel where I just talk to the community. We bring it in. It was a carryover community from my the main channel, Embrace the Suck 21. I was like, hey, I'm doing this, building this thing, and it turned into the music reaction channel. Well, the lives ended up shooting this channel in the foot. It was a
Really?
big black hole of engagement because once the live goes up as a video, there's no rewatch value, so it just sits there and it can tip the algorithm.
Mm.
Lives aren't rewatchable to a lot of people. You
Unless
know,
you're doing reactions in the live.
yes, yes.
Because
So
the one thing we did that worked really well, we started doing these Harry Mack reactions live with guests, and
hell
it
yeah,
worked. And they would they'd get, some of them have hundreds of thousands of views. But you're right. I noticed like when I go down looking at the lives, I'm like, oh, the only ones really moving the metric are specific, very specific reactions. Like let's say
yeah,
we did a live Ren reaction or Harry Mack. So that is
yeah.
interesting.
So it was the live was pulling the analytics down for the channel, having a goose egg, opposed to the ones that were firing on all cylinders. So it's
Mm,
like I felt like it was almost resetting the algorithm for this channel. So I had to move that to another live channel, and I do a kids story channel. I
really?
just read kids stories. Yeah, read
How's
kids
that
stories.
going for you?
It's small, upcoming. It's one of those projects that I knew it wouldn't fit on here. I
Yeah.
have a lot of other channels, like a military reaction channel,
Uh-huh.
that wouldn't fit on this channel. This is music reaction, music stuff, and I'm slowly trying to evolve it into at least promoting more original type content like this stuff. Like I
Yeah.
love this stuff. This is what I
Yeah.
wanted to do
This
when
me
I was a
too.
kid.
And the
Like,
reactions pigeonhole you
yep.
because a lot of times the people from the reactions won't carry over to this
Nope.
content and
Mm-mm.
they want to feel the same feeling they felt listening to a song for the first time or
Yeah.
just hearing your, that which I understand, but it's like it's interesting because you invest so much into the reactions. You're like, man, they should know me by now. Maybe they'll check this out. And it's a
Nope.
very small, and it's like you have to like if you build it, they will come. I think this is a great place to curate an audience. And if you can get 500,000 people, you can get 50,000 hardcore people who want to talk with you. Great. But it's still like that turnover rate is
No.
you're like, bro, I've been doing this how many
Well,
years to.
I was just being honest, everyone watching. Like being honest, the carryover is abysmal.
Yes.
From the main channel, Races Suck. We just hit 118K. This channel, dude, we start off. It took me a year to get to 2K. You
Yes.
know, and if it wasn't for watching, like doing World Cup watch-alongs, we wouldn't have grown.
Yeah.
It would have just been slow chugging at it, and music reactions brought masses. But there's no carryover. There's no look at even Mr. Beast. His main channel has in it all the subs. Look at his other channels. Same thing. Even he has it, but on a much
Yes.
bigger scale. The carryover for him is viewable too.
The crazy thing about Mr. Beast, he started a reaction channel, and that's when I knew we were on to something. And so that's why I was like, look, I enjoy the reactions. I
Hmm.
enjoy the people that show up. I appreciate them. Now I wish it went into like the creative original stuff, but I also understand being a
Yeah,
creative for so long. Sometimes those things are just harder to work for. Something original, it just takes time. So, my whole thing was curate an audience, create an income stream, but at the same time being authentic, having fun. And
yeah,
now I'm blessed in the sense that I'm getting paid to do something I enjoy and people enjoy it. But I'm also like this back and forth and looking at the camera, talking, like doing whatever,
Hmm.
all these things. It's just like training. You're putting in reps, and then you're just better on camera for the next endeavor. And
Yep.
I think that that's the thing. It's like, yo, building a foundation where I can make some money in the vein that I'm going to move into anyways. I mean, it's great, you know?
It's YouTube is like I said, YouTube has opened so many doors for
Mhm.
myself, my family, and it's I would I don't like fighting against it, but there's a creative side of you that you're like, oh my god, let's do this. And my thing is, it's never no. It's maybe it's more of a matter of just not yet,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like anything you want to do is possible on this thing, but just in the right time. There's
Yeah.
a right time and place for anything, and that's why I created the 11 channels. I'm like, at some point, it'll be the right time for this,
Yeah.
because for me, honestly, I've been terrified about the all the copyright craziness coming after us.
Yeah.
Like it's like we're skirting this crazy line. All it takes is one wackadoo to get in charge of some label somewhere, and then you straight up have a situation like the Eagles, where they're
Yeah.
just where they're just chopping heads off,
Yeah.
without question. So, I've just like to diversify the pot a little bit,
Yeah.
not have all the eggs in one basket. But like you said, I love that. My buddy started his vlogging channel as well. I think he's going to the UK at the end of this month. And so we're like within the umbrella of the main channel, we have all these different things going because they just haven't garnered enough movement on the main channel to back it up. They come for one thing, right? They come for their favorite, either their favorite band, the person that you're reacting to, and then they end up staying for you. But
Yeah.
when you release original music, it's a tough thing. Especially my buddy is releasing original music, and there's no movement, there's no carryover from
Yeah.
reactions to original content, and that's like the gut blow. You're just
Yeah.
like, damn. you know so no,
My
yeah.
buddy told me this saying, people don't know what they like what they know. And it's
Yes.
with music, it's a lot of times just having that familiarity, and getting people to take a chance on your music. Because the one cool thing is the people who have taken a chance on my music, they're very surprised. They're like, oh, you're actually good. Like, because I'm going down right now, I'm going down this old school rock and country rabbit hole. I'm just like, yo, this is fire. Cause I like a lot of people will trip out because I haven't heard certain things. And I always tell the story that, I grew up in a pretty Christian household, and we listened to a lot of gospel music and some Motown. My dad liked funk and jazz, but we really listened to more Christian music. Then we were in Germany. There's only one radio station. There's only one television station for, it was AFN for I think it's Armed
Mhm.
Forces Network. So it's like, I just didn't have access the same way as other people. Then I got into hip hop, and I just was like shunned everything. Oh,
and
that's
then
not
and then,
cool.
and then your blinders were on to
Yeah.
everything else going
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
And so now
Yeah.
I'm going back and just enjoying this music, and I think people freak out at that I haven't heard this stuff, but, yeah, it's interesting because going down this older, like, 60s, 70s, 80s rabbit holes, I'm getting this older audience, and it's just funny their reaction when they listen to, like, one of my songs for the first time. They're just like, "Hey, this is actually pretty good," or whatever the
I
case may
love
be, or
that.
like, "I'm
I
normally
love
not
that,
into
man.
this, but you actually sound okay, bro."
That-
Like, I'm just like, "This is
it-
hilarious."
and it's crazy how hard you have to like work to put it out in front of them.
Yeah.
And like just give it a try.
Yeah.
You're not asking them to do something absolutely
Yeah.
nuts. You're
Yeah.
just like, hey, just give it a try.
Yeah, it's
That's it.
free. It's free
It's
to check out, and it's still just but dude, I went through this. We used to sell mixtapes on the corner, and, you hated that dude at the record store, this, "Hey, man, check out my mixtape," and you're just like, "Bruh," so I already get it because I dodged those dudes, and then I was those dudes at certain points, so it is what it is, man, so I get it.
yeah. No, it's pretty crazy the world that we have here on YouTube. I couldn't ask me 5 years ago where I'd be and what I'd be doing. This is not one of those things.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is not like this is not one of those things at all. So it's become the best mistake I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
You know. So can you tell us more about the little bit more about the podcast, man, that you're on with the Avengers podcast?
Okay, yeah. So what's the word podcast? There's been a lot. It's interesting having 5 different personalities. Everyone's super cool, but the
Mhm.
schedule. And so we've been
Yeah,
trying to get together and do with where it's all 5 of us. But we're trying to be as consistent as possible right now as schedules permit. You know, one of the brothers in it has had some family emergencies, and then I just had a newborn. So there's just a lot going on, but I believe we're going to get more consistent as the summer goes. There's going to be more collaboration. And I mean, it's one of those things where we wanted to pivot from, you know, our content just being reactions and then
yeah,
start creating a voice. And that's where I was talking about like
100%.
those tastemakers, almost like, Joe Budden in a sense, where it's like,
Yeah,
all these people react. Joe Rogan, they're reacting to videos. They're like, hey, have you heard this? And they play it on their show. But
and it
it
blows up.
yeah, it's just getting to the point where people what just want to hear us have a conversation like, yo, I have fun listening to Black Pegasus, or he's interesting, or I want to hear what he has to say about this. And yeah, and we'll see even where the channel goes, because I went from, you know, I feel like there's this gateway where I see reactors reacting to very similar stuff and their channels blow up, then they kind of grow legs and they kind of become an adult and start doing their
Yeah,
own thing.
it's like a
Um,
route that we all
yeah,
follow
it's like,
almost,
yes,
and then
it's like, and it's funny. It's like Ren, NF, Tom McDonald,
don't
falling
forget
in reverse,
Nightwish.
like
Don't forget
Nightwish,
Nightwish.
and you're
Yeah,
like, oh, da, 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 da. And then you're like, this is the route I want to go, and you start going it. So I don't know where the channel's gonna end, but right now I'm just having a good time, and I've been blessed that it's making a little bit of money
that's
and just
awesome,
keeping it
man.
moving. So
That's awesome, man. That's the dream. That's the dream, man. And I honestly see you going insane places, man. Absolutely love your channel. I stay because your personality. I'm like, yes, this dude gets it. I vibe with a lot of stuff you say, man.
thank you,
There
man.
isn't one. There isn't one where I'm like, this is trash. Just like, don't worry, don't worry. I wouldn't have reached out. I wouldn't have reached out.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
doubt.
but no, it's pretty crazy, man. I'm glad that you're out there. I'm glad that you're honestly, um, finding success in this thing, because it makes me proud, not just as someone, not as like a coworker, because that's how I view us. We're
Right.
on
Yeah.
the
Peers.
YouTube, yeah,
Yeah.
peers, right? But honestly, just being successful, chasing your dream, and having and leaving a legacy for your kids to be able to one day stumble upon and see their dad working towards his dream, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and the fun thing about the reactions for me, like everyone has their own style, but my style, I try to open up. One, I focus on the lyrics because I'm a lyricist, and so
Mhm.
like I'm really trying to focus on the messaging. But then I just try to open up to the audience, like I just, if it's an emotional joint, how does it relate to my emotional experience? If it's funny, crack some jokes, but I try to be as open and sincere, and then I've noticed that creates an authenticity that might not be in other places, and that's just really worked for me, because the reality is, the more I looked at it, like, I'm not the greatest lyric breakdown channel. Like, I think people come to my channel because of the L's, like the things I miss.
Oh
They're
yeah,
like, bro, like they're coming there to help me. They're like,
yeah.
no, man, this person wrote this and this, oh, you missed this, bro. This is about Van Gogh. And you're like, oh shit,
Like, oh, I didn't even know. I
yeah.
thought it was a
So
dope song. Yeah,
exactly. So I think there's a lot going on in the space, but that's kind of my thing, is just trying to be sincere and just, connect with people, because that was the thing that I missed in 2020. It got really dark for me personally. I know for a lot of people it got dark, but I was in a very dark and extreme place. And I think connecting with people, especially online, helped, dig me out of that place. And then also just trying to see other perspectives, even if they didn't agree with your perspective, just trying to be a little more open to certain things. Cause yeah, 2020 was
yeah.
a rough stint. And it's
That
interesting
was.
because you have a son that's the same age as my daughter. And I have this
Mhm.
picture of my daughter going to the park, and she touched the ground because there was spray paint that the city put on the ground saying we couldn't go into the park. And I remember they
Yeah.
put up yellow tape around the park. And so there's some moments where it's like, it's still, I get a little, get a little triggered. I'm like, all right, pull back a little bit, like
Yeah,
let's chill out. But yeah, some of those things I think affected me more because I had a child and I realized the world they may be going into. And I think sometimes
man,
not being able to, as a parent, we're supposed to
dude.
protect and guide, you know?
Oh
So
man.
it's hard when certain things,
It's like existential, man. You're just like, oh my god. You know how I felt like growing up? I was like, Mom, Dad, you don't know my problems.
Yeah.
Now I sure shit know I don't know his problems. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm trying not to tell my wife that I'm absolutely terrified. Right. And I'm like, yes, we got this, no problem. But in my back of my mind, I'm like, the places we have to go and the
Yeah.
things we will see. My God.
Yeah. And then but
My God.
what's ironic is you can attest to this. The moment they're born and you're dealing with things for the first time, then all of a sudden you wake up, you're like, "Oh, he's 5." And that's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. You're gonna wake up, he's 10, he's 16, you're gonna be like, "Hey, we did it." So that's just how I was like, "All right, man." You know?
I love those parents in the beginning. They're like, it flies by, it just goes by, and I'm like, yeah, because you don't fucking sleep. No one told me. No one told me. They're like, it flies by. It's a blink of an eye because you only get one blink because every other hour is spent. Especially on your first one where you're like, oh my god, this being, we got it. We're in charge of this. Don't mess it up. You know.
Yeah, and
So,
my daughter didn't sleep, my first daughter. This daughter is actually way more calm, so it seems like everything I'm like, "Okay, we on the right
okay.
track." But to this day, my daughter, man, she be up at the crack of dawn. I'm like, "Bruh,
Oh,
this is crazy."
you
And
got the
most of my
morning. You got
family
the
moved.
morning person.
Yeah, most of my family, especially the part that helps with the kids, moved to Kentucky. So it's like a lot of
Ooh,
it's just on me and the wifey. And then, the family will come into town and help. Like my mother-in-law's in town right now, staying with us for 1 month, which is about to expire.
man.
And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, oh, I ain't ready. I'm not ready. I'm like,
awesome.
no, yeah,
That's
let's do this interview before she
yeah,
goes.
yeah, hell yeah, man. Or else,
Because I don't
when's
know
your next?
when I am going to be free again.
Hey,
So
hey, man, that's what it is, man. I love it. I love, yeah. Honestly, I just love to see parents, especially fathers, like succeeding and going for their dreams, their goals. Like that's such a huge thing, man. And I love that. I feel like we need more people out here building up the brand of fatherhood and being a man. And just we need brand ambassadors, more
sure.
good ones.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
because my God, has it been damaged lately? But I feel like that's segueing into a whole nother
Yeah,
podcast
yeah, yeah, yeah,
for a 3 and 4 hour podcast that we're not doing yet.
yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, man. Hey, listen. So real quick, guys, listening, all of his links will be in the description. There's a little thing under the video that says more. It's amazing what's hidden under the more. There's a lot more. Trust me, it's there.
Message.
Yeah, they're like descriptions. What is that? It's like you just have to click it. Have to click it, and everything you need is usually right there. So I'll put
It
all
is.
your links. I'll put all your links in the descriptions. Anything else that you're working on that you want to, just promote here. You take this time, man. It's
Yeah,
yours.
I mean, right now, I'm really trying to build. I really will. I'm trying to get. I don't know why, but I'm trying to get to this 500,000 subs, which is kind of crazy, and I'm kind of obsessed with that. And then just working on, like I said, I think this food fights with a Z, or maybe food and fights, to try to, I don't know. There's something about that I think I personally would enjoy. And then we'll see, man. We're just, it's kind of like you, like now knowing that you have 11 channels, I was like, I could do 4 channels. Like I can do this. Like I was like, so it's like just figuring out what is it. Cause that's the other thing. I'm really into martial arts, man. Like, really, really like, it's funny that I'm doing, music reactions. And I feel like some people are more accredited, in a sense of breaking down music, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
professional guitarist reacts to,
Yeah.
vocal coach reacts to, and I'm like, simple rapper from
Yeah.
Colorado reacts to, But when it comes to like jujitsu and even striking, like that's something that I just grew up around. I've done it most of my life. I have a, a better understanding than the average. So I'm like, why am I not doing that on the channel?
Yeah.
And also collabing with some of these. So, anyways, long
No,
story
but
short, I don't know, but it's coming.
but
That's
that's
what's gonna
that's
be on the way.
that's awesome. That's why I started the military reaction channel. I'm former military, former army. And I'm
Okay.
like,
Thanks for your
this is
service.
this is well, thanks for paying me, man, with your taxes. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Listen,
hey, you know.
hey, no, but yeah, but so that's where I was like, this is where like I dig this, I connect with this, I relate with this. You know, we're over here just stumbling in the breeze because I'm like, I'm not a musician. I don't I dabble on the guitar, but nowhere near. I would never call myself a guitarist.
Right.
You know,
You're no
I'm
Eddie
just
Van
gonna
Halen?
yeah, I'm no Van Halen. You know, I just absorb music. Like
Yeah,
that's what I love to do because I'm huge into like playlists, workout playlists, driving playlists, truck playlists. Like that's I'm here. Like when I used to do construction, music was always on,
yeah,
right? And I'm like, this is it. This is my happy spot. But the military stuff, I'm like, this is something that's cool. I can relate to and I can speak on. And a
yeah,
lot of stuff I can't speak on, but whatever. We'll try. You
yeah,
know. But
absolutely.
but yeah. But anyway, listen, man, I know that you are a busy man. And I know your schedule is absolutely insane. So I really do appreciate you just jumping on this channel for a little bit of time and partaking some wisdom with us. You
Well,
know,
I actually appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. And, I like doing stuff like this and just, because again, I feel like I'm kind of new in the reaction space. And, sometimes, I don't know how it is. Like sometimes it feels like, oh, certain brands in a sense are just like, oh, I don't know about him. So like I appreciate it, man. I just and I try to show the love because I remember as a channel on the come up too, like trying to work with people and Ren is a huge factor because like when I think we only had like 50,000 subs, maybe 60, he did an interview with us, which
that's
is
awesome.
crazy,
That's
and
awesome.
so like I always just want to be one of those people that just works with people and not saying like you're a small channel or anything. I'm just saying like I like when
What?
people
No,
hit me up with sincerity, like, yo, man, I would love to do this. I'm like, yeah, when I can, I try to make it happen because
of
I think
course,
it's
man.
just good to pay it forward, let's say. And
It,
it doesn't matter the size of the channel, just pay it forward and try to be a chill person in general.
yeah, yeah, man. It's like we're all like I see it. We're not individual islands. We're all doing this thing together, man. We're all in the same thing. We all hit the same kind of struggles, and it's just we need to definitely unify more and not
Sure.
be, we're not our own individual islands, man. Like, and that's what
Absolutely.
I'm trying to bring to this audience on this channel. Is like, dude, that's why we talk to different reactors. Eventually, I would love to talk to musicians, but I get a twofer with you, man. You're a musician and a reactor, bro. So
Hey, hey, hey,
hey,
holla.
hey, hey, man. So just making our world on YouTube seem a little bit less expansive, you
Sure.
know,
Sure.
and bringing familiar faces because we have a lot of overlapping, um, I guess, audience. Our
Yeah.
audience overlaps a
Yep.
lot. I see a lot of people that I on your channel that I see on my channel. I'm like, oh man, okay, this is cool. Like we've fallen down the same rabbit holes a lot of times.
Yeah. And I noticed that too. You, me, Cliff, Knox, there'll be similarities even with Anthony Ray, where there's just certain things that it's like, oh, we came to you guys to see what was your take on this. And
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah, yeah. It's awesome, and our the people that leave the comments are their own community too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they talk to each other, they take control of the live streams, they talk to each other left and right all the time, all over the place. And I was like, why don't we talk to each
Yeah.
other left and right all the time? Like
Yeah.
we should
Exactly.
be just as connected as they are, you know?
Absolutely. I
And
agree
so,
with
man,
that.
I appreciate your time, man. I really can't wait to see you just explode out there and be the straight up the OG of the YouTube world, man. When you're
Hey,
old and gray, there you go. Like
vice
I was
versa, man.
reacting, you know. But
I like seeing you on the come up too, man. We'll
hey,
have to
hey,
collab and do some more stuff too. That'll
of
be dope.
course, man. Of course, man. Like I say to everyone that's been on this channel, you have the key. You know where the door is. All you have to do is hit me up, and we'll make it happen.
Heck yeah.
You know.
Awesome.
But anyway, man, much love. Thank you so much, guys. If you're watching, make sure you go subscribe to Black Pegasus. The links again are in the description, and I'll comment and pin it and everything. I swear to God, I'll make it as easy as possible.
Hey, thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it.
Of course, man. All right, guys. Much love. Make sure you unplug and do something legendary. And I will see you all in the next video. And I'll probably see you in the comments over on Black Pegasus videos. Later, guys.